update. Today is Wednesday, May 25th, 2022. To give a little recap. So, my wife went to a mechanic shop on Monday and to get an update on her truck because it's been in the shop about a month now. We were getting a lot of work done to get to that. So, she sent me the first couple pictures of it where the guy was test fitting the new wheels on it, but the new body parts were fine. So, what we were doing with it was, the truck had a lot of rust on it. All four doors, first on the 01 Dodge Ram 3500, 4x4 manual transmission, Cummins. So, bed was rusted out, all four doors rusted out, both front fenders, and pin panels and cab doors. So, front axle had a bad U-joint inside of it. So as opposed to tearing that apart and fix that U-joint, because there was a bunch of rust on it, it was just easier to swap out the front axle altogether. So went ahead and got the front axle, basically a junkyard, and we sourced out a new bed. And mind you, the truck started off as a dually, so I had the bed on there. I don't have a use for the dually, and I picked up a nice cheap set of rims for it. So we went ahead and got a regular fleet side non-dually bed, and got a pretty good deal on that. And then I sourced out so far 3 of the 4 doors, and then 2 front fenders. I got lucky with the front fenders because they came with outer and inner fenders. I wasn't really planning on replacing the inner fenders, but they happened to come with, so that was great. So just so everyone's aware, when it comes to a dually truck, and it doesn't matter if you got a Chevy, Ford, or Dodge, dually rear end is a Dana 80. If you have a non-dually but still 2500 series or 3500 series truck, then the rear end is a Dana 70. So Dana 70 has one wheel in the rear. Dana 80 has dually. Front axle in that scenario, which is still 8 lug, it doesn't matter, Ford, Chevy, or Dodge. That's a Dana 60. So if you get to the smaller trucks, like 1500 series, then your rear end's going to be a Dana 50, and then the front end's going to be a Dana 30. I believe it might be a Dana. We're looking more towards the 1-ton versions, anyways. So picked up the new Dana 60 for the front end. Now, on a dually, the front end actually comes with a spacer so that you can put a dually style wheel on the front of the truck. The concept there is that you can rotate the tires so any wheel can go on any spot of the truck. Since we're not running the dually setup in the back, given the bed, still running the dually axle though. Well, the Dana 80 is actually 4 inches wider than Dana 70. Well, I don't have a Dana 70. Well, technically I do have a Dana 70, but it's got drum brakes and it's from a 1976 truck. And when you looked up the part number for the U-joint, which is where the drive shaft would attach, it had a different part number. So I still have that rear end. So my worst case scenario was, okay, swap out that rear end and upgrade some parts, do whatever needed to be done, until I switched over to that. Well, my wife got the pictures, and the rims that I had bought were for a Ford. That's 8x170 lug pattern, I believe. Whereas Chevy and Dodge are 8x8.5. So I had to buy a set of adapters. Now, your normal adapter for 8 lug is about 2 inches thick. Now you can buy them at 3 inches thick, but I went with 2 inches thick just because I didn't want them to be sticking out too far. For the front end, it worked perfectly. As long as you took that adapter off, it worked beautifully. But the rear end, the studs, the wheels, were actually an extra roughly 1/4 to 1/2 inch longer because of the Dana 80 and the dually setup. Now I could have swapped out just the studs themselves, some slightly shorter ones, or you can just cut them off, and as long as you're somewhat competent, that'll work out just fine. Which is what the mechanic that's with the truck too, because I don't have time to drive the semi truck. That's what the mechanic was doing. So, wife sent me the pictures, and the rear tires, which are Moto Metal 20 by 12s, and they have a 35-inch tall tire, which is, I believe, 10 inches or 12.5 inches wide. The very inside tread is the only one that is covered by the bed, so it's got a real massive offset and stick way out there. Absolutely love it. I was thinking it was going to be sticking out too far, but it turned out really nicely. The funny part is the mechanic didn't take the spacers off the front. He just pulled the wheel off and then put the adapters directly on the spacers and then put the front wheels on the front. So the front wheels are almost completely outside of the truck, which looks kind of cool when it's sitting there. Problem being is that when you go to turn, the tire is not rotating on the tire itself. It's actually rotating on more of a pivot. So the tire is going to be out here, and that's going to wear out wheel bearings like crazy. And while it is 1-ton wheel bearing for the Dane 70, that's still kind of excessive. So we'll probably end up taking that spacer off and then sticking farther in. I have came across another set of rims that are similar style. If it happens to work out, they will be the right lug pattern, so I won't have another spacer in that scenario. So hopefully that'll work out. But the mechanic still has to put the lift kit. I got a 5-inch lift kit for the front end of the truck. The rear end, given the fact that it was a 3500 to begin with, already came with 2 sets of 3-inch lift blocks. So there was already 6 inches of lift on the rear end of the truck when I got the truck. All the shocks were shot, so I went on eBay and picked up some rough country shocks, which cheaper brand, but I had like $200 invested in all 4 shocks, and that's a pretty darn good deal. Now, obviously, I still have to source out another door, maybe 2. Still going to get the sheet metal pieces for the cab, and then go to the interior of the truck, which is going to be, the new dash cover, since it's 01. Those things were just junk to begin with, and a couple other little pieces here and there. After that, our wife and I are kind of wanting to do. Well, she wants to do a paint job real bad. I know what it takes to sand everything down and then do the paint job, and I plan on having the truck off road a good bit to begin with. So a paint job to me is just pretty much wasted because I'm going to tear it up. But hopefully this weekend we'll actually be going to get the truck. Now, when we actually go to pick the truck up, I'll shoot another video and actually showing the truck when we first get there. So my first drive after having the lift kit installed and putting the big wheels on and that type of stuff, I've actually got to tow my trailer home, which is, it used to be an old camper that we pulled the actual camper off of, so it's 20 foot long, and the truck can pull it without even thinking that it's back there, but given the fact that my turning radius is going to be questionable, and the suspension is going to be riding different and whatnot, I'm not extremely looking forward to taking the trailer back home, because when I get the truck to the house, I have to back the trailer down our driveway. It's a little bit difficult, but regardless, it'll either be this weekend or possibly next weekend before we go pick the truck up anyway, so keep our fingers crossed for this weekend. But we shall see. Can't wait to get it back.